right, so welcome everyone to our webinar. I hope you're having a great summer. We are very excited because today we have our webinar, Fall Prevention, the 5 Little Known Secrets to Improve Your Balance, presented by Meg Stickle from Ed Fitness and also our Let's Get Moving instructor. So welcome, Meg, and just to remind you that if you have any question, you can type it in the Q&A box or the chat box function. You're gonna find those options at the bottom of your screen. Welcome everyone. Welcome, Meg.
All right, thank you very much. All right, great to have everybody join today. Thank you for taking the time to make it out here to learn a little bit more about improving your balance and preventing falls. So I'm going to be sharing 5 little known secrets that some people do not know. Maybe for some of you, this will be a good reminder as well as you think about getting back into your fall fitness routine. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story as we begin. So I've been working with adults 50 plus and seniors for a really long time, ever since I was 12 years old. And over the years, what I've noticed is that as people age, their balance tends to get worse. So I started my business AIM Fitness in 2013. And before that, I was working at a retirement residence, did lots of volunteering in different seniors' homes. And that is very common what I saw. I heard a lot of people talking, complaining about having a fall. I heard many people saying that they were worried about injuring themselves, or people who were very scared to go out in the winter or even in the fall because of the changing weather, and knowing that if they had another fall, they could greatly injure themselves. So this is a topic I love to talk about. There's a lot of tips that you'll learn and take away from today. And I do want to share, I'll share a little bit more at the end, how you can stay connected. But if you are looking for ways to really improve and focus on your health, I have a free Facebook group for those of you who are tuning in from Facebook. It's called At Home Fitness for Adults 50 plus. It's an awesome community where you can connect with others who are wanting to improve their health. And then you can also find more videos, including lots of YouTube balance exercises right on my YouTube channel. So I want to ask you this question before we get started. How has your life changed in the past few months? Now, when I ask this question, quite often what I hear is, well, my life has completely changed. I'm no longer meeting with people as regularly, or the activities I was involved in have been canceled due to COVID, or it's been a really long time since I've seen my friends and family, and my lifestyle has really changed. I'm not as active as I used to be. So it's really important to think about how your lifestyle has changed. Maybe we're going outside regularly for walks. And then with this heat wave, for those of us in Ottawa, has really put a damper on that. Maybe you've really lost your motivation. You used to exercise when you were younger, and you've just found that you don't have the time for it anymore. So I'm hoping that with today's tips and today's presentation, you will leave feeling really motivated and look at your health, look at your fitness, look at your balance in a new way. So why is it so important to talk about preventing falls and improving your balance? Now, if you do want to participate, there is a chat where you can let me know if you've had a recent fall. So if you've had a fall, maybe you know somebody who's had a fall, let me know. You can post that right below in the chat function, and I would love to hear from you. Now, studies show that there's a very high percentage of people who fall, and I'm going to give you some stats as we continue on. But sometimes what's worse than a fall is the fear of falling again. And that's what can really hold people back from living their best life. And I've seen this a lot. I've worked with lots of seniors over the years who, instead of walking confidently, they now are looking down at their feet every step they take. I've also seen those who've really changed their lifestyle. They're worried about going out for a walk on their own because they don't have the strength or the confidence that they can walk without perhaps falling or injuring themselves. So, so if you're at that stage where you're thinking about, okay, I don't want my health to get worse, I don't want to have a fall, I want to prevent it from happening, then maybe some of you are also tuning in and you've had some recent falls, you have injured yourself. So how can you move forward? How can you go forward with more confidence? So that's what we're going to address today. And I'm also going to be showing you how to get up off the floor if you do have a fall. And this will be very, very good for you if you are worried about that possibility. All right, so let's go into some stats. Statistics tell us that about 1/3 of people over the age of 65 fall each year. The risk of falls increases proportionately with age. So if you think about that, that's a really high number. That's a lot of people who are having falls. And what I've experienced with working with my clients is that falls can happen so suddenly that most of the time you're not expecting it. There's not much you could do to prevent it. But there are some things you can do to prevent it. Now, one of the women that I've worked with for a number of years, Blanche, she found that she suffered a fall in the middle of the night. And what happened with her is she uses a walker during the day, and she left her walker beside her bed. And she also left her slippers beside her bed. So you can see where this is going. She woke up in the middle of the night, had to use the washroom, and she thought, oh, I'm not going to use my walker. I know where my bathroom is. It's not far. And what she did, she got up out of bed very quickly, too quickly. She was a little bit dizzy. And then she got up and she tripped over her slippers. And with the combination of the slippers there, feeling a bit dizzy because she got up so fast, she had a fall, and she lives alone. So that really rattled her. So, tips for you guys, if you are someone, I know so many people get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and sometimes that's just your reality. But a few tips for you would be to make sure you turn on a light. Maybe that's a night light, maybe that's a little lamp, so at least you can see what's in the way. And then something else is tuck those things, like if you do use a walker or cane, tuck it to the side. Make sure that you have nothing in your path to get to the bathroom. So that way you can have that as a positive experience. Now let's keep going through the stats. Now, those people who are over the age of 80, 50% of seniors fall annually. So again, these are really high numbers. When I worked at a retirement residence, we had a lot of seniors come for convalescent stays. And the top reason they came was because they had had a fall and they'd injured either their hip. Many people had a hip injury. And then there were others who injured or broke bones in their arms or their wrists. So that's really, it really says a lot. And it is something, there's a reason that people are worried because the numbers are so high. All right, here's some more stats. 87% of all fractures in older adults are due to falls. And like I said, most common wrists, we see that a lot of broken arms and hips as well. One of my clients who I work with one-on-one, I go to her home for personal training. And this winter, she was out on a walk with a girlfriend. They're both in their 80s. And they stepped on black ice. Neither of them was expecting that, and they both fell. Now, my client, she ended up breaking her arm, and her friend hit her head. Now, the good news is they were together, so the friend who hit her head, she was in less pain. She was able to call the ambulance, and help was on its way. But it took a long time for my client to recover. And it's been about 4 months. And finally, I'm starting to work with her again after she had to have surgery and she had to go for physio. So fractures are very common. And I'm going to talk to you about ways you can strengthen your body so that if you do fall, hopefully your body is strong enough to prevent that, any major injury from happening. Now, falls account for 25% of hospital admissions and 40% of nursing home admissions. Many falls do not result in injuries, yet a large percentage of non-injured fallers, 47%, so almost half, cannot get up without assistance. Now, this is something I see quite often as well. Two gentlemen who myself and my company have worked with, again, one-on-one, their wives both reached out and said, my husband needs personal training. He needs to have someone come into the home to teach him how to get up off the floor and also how to improve his strength. Because the one gentleman, he was quite large and had an impossible time to get himself up off the floor, and his wife had to call the paramedics a few times to help him get up. So I will be showing you a demonstration, the same demonstration I showed these gentlemen on how to get up off the floor. So I think that will be really, really helpful for you and just give you the confidence that you'll know those steps, how to get up from the floor. All right, so let's dive into some of these secrets that you may not know about balance. So secret number one is your core can help or it can hinder. So quite often when we talk about balance, we talk about leg strength. We talk about lifting one foot off the floor, but we don't always talk about our core. And our core are the muscles that run down our stomach and into our side and even around the back as well. So what I want you to do is this. I would love for you to tighten up your core and practice activating your core. Because when you have a strong core, then it's easier to move from side to side. And if you do feel like you're having a fall or if you're unstable on your feet, you have strong core muscles that can pull you back. So what I want you to do is I want you to place your hands on your stomach. You can follow along. You can do this sitting down. So this one is really great. Place your hands on your stomach and I want you to breathe in and I want you to pull your belly in, just like you're doing up a pair of pants. So we'll do that together. Breathe in, tighten up that stomach, and then breathe out and relax your stomach. Breathe in, tighten, breathe out and relax your stomach. Good, we'll do it 2 more times. Breathe in, tighten your stomach. Breathe out and relax your stomach. All right. Now, there's maybe 2 things that you can notice. And if you want to let us know in the chat, if you could feel this, let me know. The first thing is you probably felt your stomach moving in and moving out. Okay. So let me know if that's the case. And then the second thing you may have felt is you may have felt your internal muscles tightening up just a little bit every time you pulled your belly in. Okay. So this is a really simple exercise you can do, and I have a very fun saying to help you do it regularly. And it goes like this: tighten your core as you walk through the door. Tighten your core as you walk through the door. Catchy, isn't it? So what I want you to do, and this is your homework, this is the takeaway from today. If you're wanting to improve your balance and really want to improve your core strength, what you do is you do the same thing. You breathe in, tighten your stomach, breathe out, relax your stomach, and do it every time you move from one room to another room. So make that a habit. You go through a door, tighten your stomach. You go to the bathroom, tighten your stomach. You leave the house, tighten your stomach. Now, one of the women that I've worked with for a long time, she's in her late 60s, and I told her about this secret, and she said, okay, I can do this. This is easy. It's not hard, Meg. I said, no, it's not hard. You just have to remember. So she did this for a long time, and about a year later, she said, oh, Meg, by the way, I haven't been telling you, but I've been using your secret. I've been tightening my core as I walk through the door. I do this every day, many times a day. And she said, I've started to notice that my stomach and my waist has more of a nicer shape. I've never had a waist before. So I see that this is actually working. So I wanted to share that with you guys, just in case you're thinking, oh, does it actually work? Yes, it does. It can help you to feel stronger. You'll be able to move with more confidence and pull yourself back if you do feel like you're going to have a fall. All right, so we've got a few comments. Okay. Okay, sure. Yeah, thank you, Minda. I will, when I'm doing my demonstration, I'll make sure you guys can see me. And Mary says yes. Okay, good. Glad to hear you could feel that. Awesome. All right, secret number 2, instead of looking down at your feet, make sure you look up. So this is why this is so important. Quite often when people are balancing, working on our balance, or when you're walking, we tend to look down at our feet. And when you do that, it can actually cause you to feel more dizzy than if you look up. Now, in working at a retirement residence for many, many years, I noticed a lot of people looking down as they walked, and they'd hold on to a walker or even a cane and look down. And what this also does is it leads to poor posture and a lot of pain in your back and in your neck. So what I want you to start noticing as you're walking, when you go for a walk, or if you are doing some balance exercises, which we are going to do at the end, I encourage you to practice looking up. Remind yourself, look up. Now, the best thing to do is to find a focal point at the horizon line. For some of you, that may be a picture, maybe a picture of your family or a painting that's on the wall, and have that as your go-to spot. Now, one of the exercises that we will do a little bit later that I've done with one of my clients who's really wanted to improve her balance is to walk with one foot in front of the other. And this is a good exercise that you can do walking down a hallway or even alongside your kitchen counter or your kitchen table. So I'll demonstrate this later. But what my client found is that when she looked down at her feet, she was wobbly. She was wobbling all over the place. She didn't feel confident. She was looking down. That's where she wanted to go. Except she didn't really want to go, but that's what her mind was saying. Ooh. Now, when she looked up, so she walked down her hallway. She had a nice painting at the end of the hallway. And I said, look at the painting as you go. And it was amazing, the difference. She was able to walk a lot more confidently, and she was less wavering. She was walking very confidently as she did that. So keep this secret in mind. You want to look up, not down at your feet. All right, secret number 3, balance doesn't need to get worse with age. Wow, imagine that. Now, as I mentioned, I've worked with adults 50 plus and seniors over the past 16 years, and I have seen that it doesn't matter what age you are. If you exercise, if you work on your balance, it may take a while. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can improve your balance. You can improve that strength, and that is really encouraging. Now, one of my clients who I work with right now just celebrated his 101st birthday. Yeah, 101. And he lives in his own home. He goes up and down his stairs every day because he needs to, but also because he knows that will help to improve his balance and his strength. And what I've seen over this past year of working with him is his balance has gotten better. So we do a lot of balance exercises and movements, and he's a new exerciser. He just started last year when he was 100 with me. So imagine that, someone who's 100 is improving their balance. So if you have doubts, if you think, oh, it's too late, I'm too old, I haven't been working on this, you've had too many falls, just think again. Just have that faith that it can get better, but it does require consistency. It does require balancing and exercising regularly. All right, let's move to secret number 4. Secret number 4, you don't need to spend hours of your day balancing. Now, in a little bit, when I show you some exercises, when I show you some balance movements that we're going to do together, I will show you how simple it can be just to spend a few minutes exercising. Now, why this is a secret is I think there's so many people, and many people I've talked to over the years, who say, you know what, Meg, I just don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to work on my balance because I'm busy. I'm busy with grandkids and family, and I've got hobbies, and the days just go by so fast. So quite often people are held back because they feel like they need to exercise for hours and work on their balance at least for an hour to make it worth it. And then what happens is that they don't end up doing anything at all. So instead, I've come up with the idea of snacking on exercise. So just like you go to the kitchen and grab an apple or a granola bar when you want a snack, maybe for some of you, chips or ice cream. But just like you'd go for a snack, we want to look at that concept for our exercise routine. So when I start working with new people, and what I would suggest to you guys is to focus on 3 exercises at one time. So for most people, the mornings are a good time to get moving. So I would recommend starting your day by exercising and working on 3 balance exercises. What you'll find is you'll have more energy for the day, and you'll find it doesn't take long. It may take 10 to 15 minutes, and we all have that amount of time in our day. So this is a good reminder that it doesn't have to be an hour's worth, which we tend to put off, but instead snack on exercise, fit it into your day, whether it's in the morning or maybe around your meal time, and see how your improvements go. See what you notice with your balance. All right, secret number 5, and this is very important as well. There may be medical reasons that your balance isn't improving. So if you're someone, you've been balancing for a while, you've been exercising for a while, and you find that you've had repeated falls, or maybe you care for someone or have someone in your life who just keeps falling, and you think, what's going on? This is kind of out of the blue, what's going on? There may be some reasons why. So I do recommend that you talk to your doctor and have them check a few things. Number 1 is your eyesight. If you've been wearing the same glasses for a long time and you haven't gone to get your prescriptions checked or your eyes checked, it could be that your eyesight has changed. So that's number 1. Make sure that you have the right prescription. Number 2 is your inner ear. Now, I know many people who have had balance issues, and it comes to your inner ear. That, again, as you age, there can be a buildup of wax. There can be some internal changes that happen. So again, it's worth getting that checked by your doctor. And then something else is that maybe you've lost a lot of strength. I know many people over the span of almost 2 years now, being in the COVID pandemic, there are a lot of people who, like I mentioned earlier, have changed their lifestyle. Maybe you're not going for as many walks as you were. Maybe most of your day is spent sitting down. You're very sedentary. Or maybe your loved one isn't doing any strength exercises. So this could be another reason that your balance is getting worse. Sometimes it's related to your legs. You've lost leg strength. We've talked about core strength. That can go downhill very, very quick. And also ankles. If you have weak ankles, then that can affect the way that you walk. It can affect the way that you go upstairs, go over curbs, and that can be a reason that you have falls as well. So I do recommend talking to your doctor and having an assessment done if you have regular falls and you're wondering, why is this happening? What's going on? All right, so now I'm going to be demonstrating how to get up from a fall. And I encourage all of you to take notes or pay attention. I'm going to do the demonstration 2 times so you can see, and I'm going to walk you through this. All right, and then something else is if you do have a question at the very end of the presentation, I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So if you have questions, anything that I've gone over, or another question related to balance or fall prevention, be sure to ask. You can leave that right in the chat. All right, so I'm just going to angle my camera down. Well, here's Finley. This is Fit Finley. Fit Finley is my Bichon Poodle who joins me online and in lots of webinars. All right, so here we go. Now we're going to be starting on the floor, and what I'm going to demonstrate is how to safely get up off the floor, especially if you've had a hip or a knee replacement, because we want to really reduce that pressure. So step number one, we're on the floor, so maybe you've fallen, and in this case you're alone, okay? If you do have someone who's around to help, make sure you call for help and they can help you get up. But this is important for those of you who are outside and have a fall, or maybe on your own, no one's at home. All right, quite often people fall forwards on their stomach. They catch themselves with their hands, so we're gonna start in this position. All right, so the first thing we wanna do is we wanna take some deep breaths. Quite often when we fall, we can be in shock. And what that means is your heart may be racing, you may be out of breath, and you may be panicking a little bit. So we want to slow everything down and take some deep breaths. So I encourage you to take 5 deep breaths. So we'll do that together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so before we move, we want to assess for injury. If you've injured yourself, so let's say you've injured your arm or your leg when you fell, or your hip, you want to know that because that's going to impact the way you get up off the floor. So if you're here, we want to start by wiggling your fingers, move your arms, move your hips, move your legs, wiggle your toes, and then move your head just a little bit. And you can notice, do I have any pain? Now, if you're in shock, you may not notice that you have very much pain because you have adrenaline racing through your body. But if you notice, ooh, my arm is really sore, I think I might have broken my arm or I've injured it, then you want to avoid putting too much pressure on that arm. All right, so next what we're going to do is we want to roll onto our side. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is by bending your knees and tilting your body to the side, just like this. From here, we want to be pushing ourselves up halfway. Here, so you can see my legs. Okay. Now, if you have a hip or knee replacement, you guys can post in the chat, what side do you think the hip or knee replacement should be on? Because as you can see, I'm leaning on one side. What do you think? You post in the chat, let me know. Should your hip or knee replacement be on the side that's up, not touching, or should it be the one touching the floor where the pressure is? So the answer is it should be up. It should be on the side, the top side, in order to protect that joint. Okay, so now once you're in this position, and by the way, this is a really good exercise you can practice in bed if you're not comfortable going on the floor. So what you can do is you can start on your stomach, roll onto your side, push yourself up. Okay, do that about 5 to 10 times when you're in bed, and this can really help you get into that rhythm and help you strengthen those muscles. So we're here. Once again, we want to take 5 deep breaths. Because again, if you've gotten up too fast, you may have experienced a head rush. You might be feeling a bit dizzy. You might be feeling a little bit panicked, realizing, oh my goodness, I injured myself, I'm on the floor. So we want to slow down our heart rate, and deep breaths can help you to make better decisions and think a little more clearly. All right, so our 5 deep breaths here. And then the next step is we want to look around for something that we can use to help us get up off the floor. Now, typically we want to use something like a couch. I've got 2 options here, or a chair that's pushed right against the wall. You want something that's sturdy, that's not going to be shifting under your weight. Okay, so I'm going to use this couch right behind me. And I wanted to tell you this, because this is really important as you move toward that couch. Now, something you want to avoid, you don't want to put pressure on your knees, whether you've had knee replacements or not. Our knees tend to be quite sensitive and weak, and we don't want to put pressure on. So that means we don't need to crawl, but instead you'll want to scooch to the side. And this is where having strong arms and a strong torso, including a core, is really helpful. Okay, see how I'm scooching? All right, so I'm taking off all the pressure from my knees. I'm not crawling, no need to crawl. You can just move to the side. So you want to move as close as you can to that couch, move cushions out of the way so you have lots of space. And then the next step is we want to get our toe, our one toe, underneath to push us up into a seated position. Now, there's no need to stand up all the way. If you stand, you may find that you actually feel dizzy and you could have another fall. So we just want to get up high enough, just high enough to get your bum onto the couch. Okay, all right, here we go. So again, we want to put as little pressure on our knees as possible. Do your best to get your toe underneath. It's easier if you are wearing shoes, of course. And then we want to use our strong arms to pull ourselves onto the couch. So what I suggest from here is to count down. 3, 2, 1, and then push yourself up. So here you go. Demonstrate. 3, 2, 1, push, get that foot underneath you, other foot under, and then just move up high enough until you're seated on the couch. Okay, I'm going to show you guys that again, because this is something good for us to see. All right, so you want to get as close as you can to the couch. We want to get our toe under us, even if your leg is out a little bit, that's okay. Not everyone is that flexible. And then we want to get that foot under, and we're going to do 3, 2, 1, and push with your legs, pull with your arms. Just high enough to slide onto the couch until you're seated. And then from here, we want to take another 5 deep breaths. Good. And then what I recommend from this point is to pick up the phone, call somebody, whether it's a neighbor, a family member, someone you know that can take you to get checked out. Now, at this point, you probably are still feeling the adrenaline. You may not notice that you're injured, but you don't know what actually happened during the fall. Maybe you hit your head, maybe you have injured or pulled a muscle, broken a bone, and it's important to get checked out by a medical professional. All right, I'm going to come back here. All right, so I hope that was helpful. Now, if you do have any questions about how to get up from a fall, you can ask. Happy to share that. I'm going to tell you a quick story about one of my clients who had a fall and what happened and what I would recommend based on what happened to her. To her is she went out to the garden to do some gardening, and it was a really hot day. She wasn't drinking much water, and she leaned over and she ended up falling. She actually ended up passing out, and she woke up and kind of was disoriented, wondering, oh my goodness, how did that happen? Now, she was able to get herself up off the ground, but she lives alone and there were no neighbors around, so no one saw this happen. She went back inside her home and she thought to herself, you know what, I just had a fall. It might be good to go to the doctors just to get checked out, just because. So she picked up the phone, she called one of her friends, and she dialed. Her friend picked up, and her friend said, oh my goodness, Violet, I'm so busy. I have my grandchildren here. There's a lot going on right now. I'm just feeling really overwhelmed. But what's going on? How are you? How are you? And Violet said, in her mind, she thought, my friend is too busy. She's already overwhelmed. She doesn't have time to drop me off to the hospital. So she just said, oh, no, that's okay. I'll call another time. Don't worry about it. And then she hung up the phone. Still, she thought, I should still get checked out, but I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to bother anyone. So she dialed another friend. And same thing, this friend was overwhelmed and busy with her husband. She had to run him off to some appointments. So again, Violet hung up the phone. And then she said, you know what, I'm going to call one more person. If this person picks up, I'm just going to tell them what happened, that I had a fall. So she calls her another friend from church, and this woman answers, and she says, "Oh, how are you doing, Violet?" She says, "You know what? I just had a fall. I'm a little bit worried. I think I should probably get checked out." And this woman said, "Okay, I'll be right over. I'll drop you off to the hospital right away." So Violet got to the hospital, and the doctor said, "Thank goodness you came in. No major injuries, but you are extremely dehydrated. How much water have you been drinking recently?" Violet had to say, "Yeah, not very much. It was a hot day. She hadn't been drinking much water, and probably hadn't been eating very much those past few days." So they kept her in the hospital for a full week, and she had to go on an IV. Now she stayed in the hospital, they sent her home, she was fine. Like I said, no major injuries at all from the fall, but she was pretty shook up. She realized that if she hadn't followed through and called someone and really asked for that help, then, who knows what could have happened. So I share this story, this real story, because quite often we can think, I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to be a burden. People are busy, my family, my friends. I don't want to ask them when they're so busy and already overwhelmed. So I do encourage you to ask for help. If you do have a fall or if you have an injury, just know that the people in your life will drop everything to help you, and you are not a burden, but it is so, so important to get checked out after you have a fall, even if you think it's not a big deal. It's better to be safe than sorry. All right, so before we go to Q&A, I would love to demonstrate a few balance exercises that we can do right at home. I would love for you to join me. So if you are ready to go, then we're gonna do that. So what I encourage you to do before we get started is just to make sure you have enough space around you. And we're gonna use a chair. So have a chair beside you. Can meet me in that position in just a sec, and we're gonna do some standing balance exercises. Here we go. All right, give me just a sec. All right, just have to back up my camera so you guys can see my face. All right, well, we'll make do. We will make do. All right, so the first exercise we want to do is you can hold on to your chair if you're able to, and we're going to start by tapping our feet right in front. So it looks like this, tapping one toe at a time. And it's important to warm up those legs. Warm up those legs. Now, if you feel pretty confident, you can choose to reach with your opposite arm, opposite leg. That's the more advanced option. But if you're just getting started, maybe you've been sitting most of the day, then we really want to warm up those legs. All right, next we're going to take it to the side so we can tap your legs nice and wide. Now this is a really good exercise to strengthen hips, which we know, as I told you earlier, when people fall, often it's the hip bones that get a fracture. So we want to strengthen the muscles around those hips. All right, very good. Let's do two more. And one. From here, let's lift those knees nice and high. Now bring your arm out to the side if you can. Lifting the knees. And just like we practiced earlier with our stomach, we want to think about tightening up that stomach every time you lift your knee. So we want to breathe in, tighten your belly, breathe out, relax. Breathe in, tighten, breathe out, relax. So it's like a slow motion walk. Good, tightening up your stomach. You should feel it. That's good. And one more. Good. All right, from here, we're going to take your legs nice and wide. So we want your legs to be about as wide, a bit wider than your shoulders. Again, hold on to that chair if you need to. And we're going to be shifting our weight from side to side. Now, earlier, when I was talking about having a strong core, this is what I meant. You can think about leaning, maybe you're reaching for something. If you lose your balance, you may keep going in that same direction and fall. So what we want to practice is we want to practice tightening up our stomach as you lean the other way. So let's reach this way, tighten your stomach and lean back. Tighten your stomach, breathe in and lean back, breathe out. Breathe in, tighten that stomach, breathe out. And one more time. All right, we're going to do the other side this time. So we're going to be shifting a little bit. You can shift your legs. You can be leaning and reaching, maybe making your bed. Tighten your core, pull yourself back. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Good. So really think about that stomach. If you need to, you can even keep your hand right on it as you hold on. So you can feel your stomach working. 2 more. And 1. All right, that's awesome. Let's bring those feet back in a bit closer. And what we want to do next is we want to be lifting one leg up right in front of the other. Now lean your leg against the other leg. You can lean right at your ankle. And then let's practice those tips that I gave you. So our first tip was to use our core. So let's think about tightening up, pulling your belly in just like you're doing up a pair of pants. And the next tip that I gave you was looking up. So try looking straight ahead, see what you see in front of you, maybe focus your gaze on a picture or a painting. And then the last tip is to use our arms for balance. So you can bring one arm. If you feel comfortable, maybe you lift a few fingers, balancing with a few fingers on this side. Or if you really feel comfortable, you can try lifting that other hand. Good. We're going to hold it here. Let's take a few deep breaths. Relaxing our body as we hold this position. Good. And let's release that down. Let's walk it out. Walking it on the spot. And then we'll do the other side. All right, other leg, we're going to lift it up. Lean that foot, lean that ankle into your other leg. All right, our tips, tighten the core, shoulders back, look straight ahead, find that focal point, and lift the arms. Now, something you may notice, because I noticed this, is one leg will be stronger than the other. One side, you'll have no problem balancing, or maybe it's still challenging, but you're going to notice one side is definitely easier than the other. I would say 85% of the people I talk to experience this. So don't worry if you're struggling to hold your balance on one side. Let's hold it here, 3 more seconds. Keep breathing. 2 and 1. Good. All right, let's walk it out again. Very good. Now, I did tell you a little bit earlier in the presentation about my client who walked one foot in front of the other down the hall. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to demonstrate this way. So what you want to do is you want to have that chair a little bit ahead of you, a few steps ahead. And what I want you to do is I want you to use those tips that I've given you. Tighten the core, shoulders back, look up. What I want you to do is take those arms out to the side and then take one step in front of the other. One step right in front, and just walk until you get to your chair, and then we're going to go the other way. So one step behind the other foot. Good. So I would say do 3 to 4 steps. It doesn't have to be far. And if you're finding that this doesn't feel that great, feeling a little bit off, then just do those steps right here while holding onto your chair, and then take those steps backwards. All right, so let's do this. Let's do it a few times together. Standing with one foot in front of the other. Good, and back. Checking in that your shoulders are back. You're looking straight ahead. Join me holding on to your chair. It's a really good thing to do. Or you can challenge yourself and walk to the chair and walk back. Just make sure there's nothing that you can stumble or hit that's in the way. Good. Few steps forwards and back. One more time. There we go. Great. Breathing in and out. And back. All right, great. So this is a really good exercise that you can do, like I said, in the hallway, or if you'd like to hold on to something, walking along the kitchen counter or holding on to the kitchen table will really be helpful for you. Okay, awesome. So we're going to move to some Q&A at this point. So come and join me. If you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box and I will get to them next. All right, any questions? All right, so I will share one that comes up quite often, and then in the meantime, if anyone does have a question or even a comment, if you've enjoyed this presentation and it's been helpful, let me know what has been helpful about this. So one question that I get quite often is, where do I do my balance exercises? I want to make sure that it's safe. Now, I know if you've had a fall, you may be worried. Okay, I live alone, I want to do my balance exercises, but I want to make sure that in doing them, I don't lose my balance and fall, right? Doesn't that make sense? So what I would suggest is a few things. Number one, you may have noticed I'm wearing running shoes, and I would recommend wearing some kind of a closed toe shoe that has a non-slip heel on it, or a non-slip base to the shoe. So that way you can lift one foot, you'll feel comfortable and confident that that other foot will stay on the floor without slipping. So that's one tip for you. Something else to think about is, like I mentioned earlier, about having something to hold on to. Now, it's always a good idea to have something like a chair that's sturdy. You don't want a flimsy chair that'll move. So maybe holding on to the back of your or side of your sofa, or holding on to the kitchen counter. That can really help you as well if you're worried about things moving or shifting. And it's always better to have something there that you can grab onto if needed. Okay. Now, something else you can do is, if you're holding on, but you want to challenge yourself, you think, oh, my balance is getting better. I've been doing these exercises for a while now. What you can do is you can just hold on with a few fingers, or you can hold on and then lift your hand. Hold on and then lift your hand. Okay, so that can really help. All right, we've got a question from Mary. She says, very good, Meg. Anything I can do for vertigo? Okay, so yeah, great question. So I know there's some specific exercises you can do for vertigo. And what I would recommend for vertigo, because it isn't my area of expertise, but I would just recommend, like I mentioned, snacking on exercise. I encourage you to snack on balance. If you have different times that your vertigo kicks in, that you feel really dizzy, those are not good times to try to do your balancing exercises. So instead, I would say focus on balancing maybe for about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes at a time, do 3 or 4 exercises, and then rest. Take some time to relax. And if you do look online, I'm sure you could find some specific exercises for vertigo. But what I found in working with clients with vertigo in the past is they have good days and they have bad days. So really, if you do have a good day, you think, okay, this isn't bad, then those are the days to exercise. And then On the days that you're not feeling 100%, give yourself permission to put your feet up, to relax, to focus on things like deep breathing, meditation, and those things can really help. All right, so I hope that answers your question. All right, you're welcome. Thanks for asking, Mary. All right, any other questions that have come up? One other one that I get quite often, and we'll end with this one, is what can I do around the home to make sure that, oh, my phone is ringing. What can I do around the home to make sure that my house is safe, that I am not going to fall suddenly? So what I would suggest is making sure that there's nothing on the floor that you could trip over. So things like wires, boxes, containers, magazines, or books. Make sure those things are tidied up and put away so that you don't have a tripping hazard. All right, so that is my my response for that.
All right, so, well, thank you, Meg. Thank you for that great presentation, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So just a reminder that the Brainy Active Challenge 2021 starting in September. So I encourage you to stay active and follow our programs and challenge your brain during this time, and join us to the Brainy Active campaign. And with that said, I also invite you to register for the weekly roundup if you want to learn more about different programs that we offer at the Dementia Society of Ottawa and Brantford County. So it has been a pleasure to be your host today, and thank you for joining us, and have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.